Okay, so section 4.3 is over complex fractions. What is a complex fraction? Well, it is a fraction in which the number and the denominator are both fractions. Okay? To simplify these, we just have to write the fraction as a single fraction with one expression in the denominator and one in the numerator. Okay, how to do that? First things first, there's a little typo here. Factor the polynomial in the numerator and in the denominator. Okay, so first things first, we always factor everything, okay? Because if we can simplify at this point, it might make it a much easier problem, okay? So factor and simplify first. Then looking at both denominators, we have to find a least common denominator between the two values. We'll multiply by that least common denominator, and then we'll just double check and make sure we simplified everything. Okay, sounds like a lot, but it's really not too bad. So first things first, we're going to start with example 1. This is our first complex fraction. So we're just going to look at the two denominators, which are 5b and 10b squared. Does everybody see how those are denominators? Okay, this is basically just one giant fraction line. Okay, so what is something that 5b and 10b squared will both go into? And let me back up real quick. This is the point where I would factor all the numerators and denominators, okay? But I see that they're all monomials, and I know I can't factor a monomial. You with me? Okay, so now I'm looking for a common denominator. So I've got 5b and 10b squared. What's something they will both go into?
5b.
Will 10 go into 5? No, but will 5 go into 10? Yeah, so 10 is actually going to be the coefficient. Will b go into b squared? Will b squared go into b squared? Yes, so it's actually going to be b squared as that common denominator. So 10b squared is our common denominator. Are you with me? Because 5b goes into that and 10b squared goes into that. We all see that? Yes? No? Is anyone confused? Okay. So that is our common denominator. Here is how this works, okay? We must divide. So we need to do 10b squared divided by our first denominator. And what's going to be left? Well, 10 divided by 5 is just 2, okay? And b squared divided by b is just b. So I'm now multiplying by that, so by 2b, just on the top. What is 6a to the third times 2b? 12, a to the third, b. Cool. That's my new numerator. Now we go to the denominator, okay? So 10b squared divided by 10b squared, what is that? Just 1, okay? So I'm just multiplying by 1, which I don't necessarily have to write, because I know that 21a times 1 is just 21a. Now that's a lot simpler to simplify, right? So we'll start with just the coefficients. 12 over 21. What's the number that will go into both? 3. So this will simplify 2. 4 over 7. Okay. What about any of those variables? The a. So a to the third over a is going to simplify 2. Just a squared on the top, right? Because 3 minus 1 is 2. So I got 4a squared b over 7. Is that as simple as it will go? Yep, it is. Cool. Questions on that? All right, going to example 2. First things first, factor everything. So starting with the top, that's a monomial. I can't factor a monomial. X minus 1, can that be factored further? No. What about x? No. What about 2x minus 2? Yeah, what can I do there? Take out the 2, and what's going to be left? X minus 1. So you agree that that's my new denominator? Yeah? Or not new, but I just simplified it? Okay. So now looking at those two denominators, x minus 1 and 2 times x minus 1. What is a common denominator? 2 times x minus 1. Good. So now we see what we have left here. So starting with just the top, 2 times x minus 1 divided by x minus 1 is just 2, right? That's the only thing left. So I times that on top. So 18x squared times 2 is 36x squared. Now same thing on bottom. 2 times x minus 1 divided by 2 times x minus 1 is just 1. So I'm just left with x. Will that simplify further? What will it become? 36x. Questions on that? Okay. I want you to go ahead and try this one. Try number 3. All right, what is the common denominator here? Well, actually, hold on, back up. We got to factor first. So let's factor just the top. And what do we get? 4c squared minus 1. Can I factor that? Difference of squares. Okay, so break that apart. What's it going to become? 2c plus 1, 2c minus 1. Good. Over 3c. Will that fraction simplify any further? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Now we'll go to the bottom. Anything I can pull out on the top? Yeah, I could pull out a 1, but I don't really have to do that. And then on bottom, no. Okay, so now what is my common denominator? 3c and 9c squared. What do they have in common? 9c squared. Good. Okay, divide 9c squared divided by 3c, and what's going to be left? Just 3c. Okay, so on top here, I have 3c times 2c plus 1 times 2c minus 1. On bottom, 9c squared divided by 9c squared. Just 1, so I'm just left with 2c plus 1. Is anything going to cancel here? Yeah. What? The 2c plus 1s? And what's going to be left? Good. 3c times 2c minus 1. And that is it. All right, number 4. Fully factor everything. We'll start with the top. 8z squared plus 24z. What can I take out? 8z. And what's going to be left? Z plus 3. Good. First denominator, z squared minus 9. Will that factor further? Yeah, what? Good. It's a difference of squares as well. Okay, will this fraction up top, will this simplify any further down? You sure can, yep. Because we factored both the top and the bottom of a fraction, so we're good to start simplifying. And we just have 8z over z minus 3 left. Would you agree? And that cannot be simplified? Nope. Okay. Now we're going to move to the bottom part of this fraction. So 2z. Well, that's as simple as it's going to go, right? What about 15 minus 5z? Take out a 5. What's going to be left? 3 minus z. Cool. Anything in that bottom part can cancel out. What do we think? Nope, it can't. Okay. So here's what we have right now. Okay, so I need to find a common denominator between z minus 3 and 5 times 3 minus z. Okay, I've basically got two options here. Okay, I could multiply, I could make it big, I could do 5 times 3 minus z times z minus 3, and that could be my common denominator, but that's going to get kind of big. Does anybody remember a rule about z minus 3 and 3 minus z? A rule that might follow? The -1. Okay, so what I can do here, and this is what I'd probably change the 5, okay, just to make that one into z minus 3. I'm going to change this into a -5, and then just to reverse the order here. So z minus 3 would be what I would change the inside of the parentheses to. You with me? Because aren't these two things the same? This and this? Yeah? Okay. So now, what would be my common denominator? Z minus 3 and -5. Yep, gotta have both. So -5 times z minus 3. Okay, so now we divide -5 times z minus 3 divided by z minus 3. What's going to be left? Just the -5, so I'm going to multiply by that on top. What is 8z times -5? -40z. And then we go to the bottom. -5 times z minus 3 divided by -5 times z minus 3 is just 1, so we just leave it as 2z. Can I simplify that further? I sure can. -20. Good. Questions on that? All right. We will keep going here. All right. Let's go ahead and do example 5. So I want you to factor everything fully. See if you can simplify the top. See if you can simplify the bottom. Find your common denominator. And give this one a go. Okay, and I lied. We have 5 minutes left, and I need to do one that's like the ones on the back page. So if you're in my class, this is going to be your warm-up on Friday. So you can go ahead and do it if you want to. Okay, but we will come back. But we're going to go ahead and try... which one do I want to do? We're just going to do example 7. Oh, these dashes? Okay. We're going to do number 7, okay, just because I want you to be able to do the ones on the homework that are like this. So we will start off. What do we notice about this problem compared to the other ones that we've done? Yeah, we've got multiple fractions going on, right? In the top and in the bottom. Okay. So when we are subtracting or adding, what must we do to be able to subtract and add values? Find a common denominator. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is find a common denominator just on this numerator. What would it be if I just have 1 and y? Wouldn't it just be y? Yes. Okay, so that's going to be my common denominator. 8 over y. To get to y, I don't need to multiply by anything, right? I can just leave it as 8. What about 4 over 1? How do I get from 1 to y? Multiply by y. Okay, so I keep my subtraction sign. What is 4 times y? 4y. Okay, we're going to do the same thing down here. What would be our common denominator? Y. To get from 1 to y, I multiply by y, so 12 times y would be 12y. To get from y to y, I don't have to multiply by anything, right? So I can just leave it as minus 24. Everybody good on that? Okay, what is the common denominator now between these two? Wasn't it just y? Okay, so if I divide by y on both, it's just going to give me 8 minus 4y over 12y minus 24. You with me? And then I can just simplify that. Yeah? Okay, so I would pull out a 4. I'm going to go kind of fast. And then I would pull out a 12. 2 minus y over y minus 2 will cancel, but I just have to make it negative, right? So this would end up simplifying to negative 1/3. Sorry, that was fast. I really hate Wednesdays. Okay. So that is how you do a problem like that. If you would like to come see me during win time, please do so tomorrow. I can request you if you need me to. There is one Delta Math problem, and then there is the homework assignment, so please get all of that done.